are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-host, Andrea Kay. Today's host is Stephanie Murphy, and our first guest of the day is Mr. Gary Weitzman from the San Diego Humane Society, and what I forgot before, and SPCA.
That's right.
So, great. Well, welcome, Gary.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Great. So tell us, what do you do at the Humane Society?
Oh, besides get everybody else worked up about new projects that we've got coming up or things like that, it's actually it's a great place. It's a great place.
So, and I think we ought to start, for those who don't know specifically, let's start with what's your mission statement over there at the Humane Society? What do you do?
You know, right now, it really is getting to zero euthanasia of adoptable animals. That's everything that we do at the Humane Society is about that. So we are really the safety net for San Diego for animals in shelters. And there's about 7 shelters in this county. So it's a big county.
Right.
And a lot of animals. We've got about 45,000 in the shelter system.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, you know, I remember, I think this is a key point. I remember several years ago when we found a dog that we couldn't take care of, and we went around to several of the different humane societies, and they wouldn't take them, or we wouldn't leave them because they would euthanize them. So,
right.
Yeah, so some of them do, and your goal is to make sure they don't.
Right, exactly. And our goal also is to take animals from other shelters in this area that may not be able to keep them as long as we need to get them into homes. So we're really great in San Diego. It's an incredible environment. You know, people love their animals here, whether it's dogs or cats or horses. I know you have horses in your life, or a tortoise. I know you've got a tortoise, don't you, Steph? Whatever it is. And right now, you know, there's so much support for animals. There shouldn't be any that don't make it through the shelter system. So that's what we're pledged to.
That's great. So, and you have just completed a merger with. Tell us about what you've done recently.
Yeah, we've had. I don't know if the business book would say to do it this way, but we've had. We're completing the 3rd merger in 4 months, and it wasn't planned out to be in 4 months. Sometimes things just happen that way. But the first one was the Escondido Humane Society that merged with us in July this year, and we've been partnering with them for years and years and years. And part of the reason that we're closer to getting to zero euthanasia is because of partnerships like that with Escondido. Right. So it just made sense to complete that marriage, I guess, and bring them in.
And that's the one up by Kit Carson Park, isn't it?
It is. It is. Yeah. It's right against the hills. It's a beautiful place up there.
It is.
Hot sometimes. This summer's been a hot one up there, but it really is gorgeous. And there's land. That's the beauty of it. So we have plans to open up a horse rehab facility up there, because right now we've got so many horses in our care. And we have them in 2 different ranches, and we have about 40 or 50 emergency horse stalls that we use.
Well, you know, I'll have to, I didn't realize you were into large animals too.
Oh, yeah, everything.
I know some of our former guests, you remember the folks from Proteus, David was up there yesterday.
Yeah.
They got involved in a big horse rescue that they just got the land donated to them, or I don't know, donated or loaned to them, however it came in, up in Valley Center, for a horse rescue.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
That's great.
So,
yeah, I heard about that. That's fantastic that they did. Horses are a big deal. This county, you know, it really is kind of illustrative of what's happening across the country with horses. Very expensive to care for, lots of neglect that may not be malicious, but it happens.
You don't have to tell me they're very expensive. I know all about that part.
Yeah. How many do you have?
Just one.
Just the one.
Just one, but, you know, it's... I shouldn't say I have a horse. I have a horse payment.
Okay. Okay, but your daughter has a horse.
Yeah, my daughter has a horse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would imagine horses are like any animal that a lot of times people don't put enough thought into it before they get an animal, whether it's a horse or a cat or a dog, or they might fall into difficult economic times and suddenly they can't care for it anymore, and that's where people.
I think it's the economy. You're absolutely right, Andrea. It's the economy is so tough for people with horses, and if you have one, that's hard enough. But imagine having 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So we get calls that we have somebody that might be ailing, might be nearing the end of his or her time, and they've got 15 horses, and the kids don't want them, and the caretaker's been let go, and so we're constantly doing investigations, or going to do rescues, and not to mention the fires, and hopefully with the Santa Anas there won't be any fires the rest of this year, but we've got a big fleet that goes in and moves horses out of fire danger.
Yeah, that's always so scary. Fires, see the images of the horses.
Escondido.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I lived there for a long time and saw the fires.
Oh, terrible. And the ones this past spring in Rancho Bernardo and San Marcos, that was scary. That was real scary.
So I got a question for you is, do you accept volunteers to help you with the horses?
Oh, my God, absolutely. Yeah, we don't turn any volunteers away.
That's good. I thought you'd say that.
Were you going to put Carrie to work?
Carrie's going to work.
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah, we've got an animal rescue reserve. We have about 60 volunteers that are in that, and they mobilize every time there's a horse emergency or other large animal. We've got, we've had chickens. We've had a flock of peacocks last year, 15 of those. So it's any large animal. We'll go get llamas and alpacas out of danger.
Now, do you work
to
place them as well and have people adopt them?
We do. Sometimes the sad truth is, like the chickens, we'll get roosters that have been fighting roosters, and that's illegal, and it should be. And we'll end that fighting group. But we had 2 years ago, about 200 of those fighting roosters, and it's tough, and that's really tough to see what those animals have gone through.
Yeah. I want to hear about that. Now, you make it as easy as possible for people to adopt. I know that from my own family. We wouldn't have our little Tootsie, Mama's dog Toots, if it hadn't been...
is that your little Shar-Pei lab?
Oh, no, that's my Beau, but Mama's dog is Tootsie, and she got Tootsie at Gaines, and she already was microchipped, and she had all of her shots. And
spayed and neutered.
She'd been spayed, and she was so healthy, and it just made it easy for, Mama as a senior on a fixed income to find, a new fur baby.
Yeah,
and I think it's wonderful.
Important.
Yeah.
When we talk about 45,000 animals in shelters, the pendulum has really shifted. Years ago, it used to be you'd be interviewed, interrogated, home inspected, getting records and mortgage files. That's what it took to get an animal. Now we've realized, we are our own worst enemies. So we've really pretty much done everything, but we'll have you do an application that really is just your email, but we sit down and talk to people and want to know that we're giving you the right match and that you're able to take care of that animal. And we
just the scrutiny isn't as much as it used to be?
No, not at all. But it's the education. That's the whole point.
I think they still do that over at Helen Woodward, though. I think they're the one that still does that.
It might be. I don't know. I don't know. But I think nationally, that's the direction. It's called open adoptions. It's helping people, match with an animal. You're going to get an animal anyway. So get an animal from a local shelter where you're saving a life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was a funny story with Mama because she just had her eye on that Tootsie, and she wanted Tootsie so bad, but somebody else was ahead of her on the waiting list. And Mama kept going to the shelter every day, and so whoever was at the top of the list saw Mama keep coming back.
Okay,
and let Mama get to.
And she has her. Okay, it worked.
And so I thought so many dog lovers and pet lovers go there and care about each other. They want
and we love that.
The right home.
And we love that. We have 2,000 animals today. Right now, this very day, we have 2,120 animals in our care.
Wow,
it's a lot of creatures.
Listen, close up on Indigo Business here on KFSDA 50 News.com. And Stephanie Murphy's with us today, and our guest is Gary Weitzman, the president of the San Diego Humane Society. One of the things that we talked about before we got on here was I realized that every one of the Humane Societies is independent.
So many people don't.
Okay, so if everyone's independent, then I want to focus on something. How can people help you out? You need volunteers, you need donations, you need all kinds of things. Where does the money come from to support them?
Well, for us, it's nearly all donations. We've been in the animal welfare for 130 years, almost starting in San Diego. Most people don't know that. But really, it's nearly all donations.
Okay, so let's focus on it. How can people find, because they turn around and they donate people live in this community, want to support the community. You're doing great work for the animals in this community. So tell our listeners how they can get specifically to your facility.
Sure. And thank you. We'd love to have that question, obviously. And I'm a big supporter of the national groups, HSUS, ASPCA, Best Friends. That's fine. But if you want to help your local community, stick with the Humane Society in your local community. And obviously in San Diego, it is San Diego Humane Society. But there are a number of other ones here, too. I mean, I'm talking for the Humane Society. But
get us direct. What's your website?
It is sdhumane.org.
Okay.
Yeah, very easy.
Okay, so if people want to learn more, I suspect they can see what kind of animals you have in the shelters.
Oh, yeah.
They can find out, maybe volunteer.
Sure.
They can make donations. And are most of the donations come? Do most of the donations come when somebody adopts an animal, or do you have private donations?
No, not necessarily at all. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. There are usually two different populations. Maybe someone has adopted in the past or grew up in San Diego and went to the old shelter that we still have now. It's a behavior center. But a lot of time it's people that haven't necessarily adopted that just care about animals.
Okay.
We love that.
Okay, great. Well, we're starting to run short on time, so when we get down to the last couple minutes, I always like to focus in on contact information. So tell our listeners again, where's your main facility? Where are the other facilities that you control?
Yeah, we have 3 main campuses. One is right on Gain Street outside of Old Town in San Diego. Another one's in Oceanside on Airport Road in San Luis Rey. And then our recent merger with Escondido Humane Society is up in Escondido. It's a great facility up there.
That's on Via Rancho Parkway,
That's right.
That's right. In Kit Carson Park.
They can see all the pets available for adoption on your website.
On our website,
as well,
sure.
Correct?
Sure. And if you're looking for something you don't see, the best thing is to call in. We'll actually look for you. And whether it's with us or one of our partner shelters here in our wonderful county, we'll help you get that animal.
Well, I have to imagine that the employee base you have is there not necessarily to just work, but it's also because they love what they do.
It's a labor of love. Yeah,
so,
it is.
So sdhumane.org?
sdhumane.org.
Okay, and if anybody wants to have direct access into your facility by phone, what's the phone number?
Actually, probably the easiest way is via email, but probably the email line is the best.
Okay, so, okay, great. Anything you want to leave our listeners with?
I think, take care of your animals and come support your local shelter.
Great. Gary, I appreciate you being on. You were one of the guys I've been looking forward to for weeks. So
Thank you.
I will definitely give you a call, and we can do a tour, and let's see what we can do to keep spreading the word.
Excellent. I've got puppies for you.
All
right. Deal.
So, great. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with homegrown San Diego businesses and the people that are working hard to make a difference in our community. This is financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after the break with more homegrown business Close Up, and we will have with us Mr. Howard Parfell from the Ken Blanchard Companies.